host. Welcome. The sun is out, we're happy to be here. And good morning. I'm sorry. There should be an X on the floor. I'd like to just do some housekeeping quickly. So to let you know, the toilets are down this corridor by the LED white lights behind the lift. So that's where the loo are. This is a non-smoking building, so if you need to smoke or vape, please go downstairs to the ground floor. You cannot smoke away from the balcony. And if you have a question, just raise your hand. We've got roaming microphones, just so that you're audible to everyone. Please just wait for a microphone. And then when you leave, please just be patient with the flaps at the gate. We are remote people, so you just need to wait a bit before you scoot off. And then just to give you some context on who we are as Creative Mornings on a global level, we've got 244 chapters across 70 cities worldwide, and every month we host 27,000 people at an event just like this. And our events are free. The talks are free, and we also host talks online. So if ever you miss a physical event, you can just simply go onto the Creative Mornings website and find what is happening with virtual and online talks. Just to introduce you to our team, we are a volunteer-run organization. We have a team of 11. You might have seen some of them around. Please wave Creative Mornings volunteer team. If you have questions for us, yay, and thank you. If you've got questions for us, please come up to any one of us and ask them. We'll give you all the information that you need. And then Creative Mornings has a manifesto that I'd just like to quickly take you through. We already believe that everyone is creative. I'm going to read it out for you. Everyone is creative. We believe that a creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work, and we're here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things that you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections just like these. We believe in learning from others, and we absolutely believe in hugs and high fives. So please be friendly to each other. And we bring people together who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world, right? And everyone is absolutely welcome. So we always encourage people to bring a friend. And we'd also just like to give a high five to our sponsors. We've got Adobe on a global level. So Adobe is our global partner, so they basically they're on a mission to help people everywhere imagine, create, and bring to life these digital experiences that we create on their software. And just like our local partners, they really make and fuel the power behind the organization that is Creative Mornings on a global level. Our local partners are 1410 Digital Film. They are responsible for everything audiovisual and post-production for our chapter. Serve Fruits for all the yummy smoothies and energy boosters that we have as a breakfast beverage partner. And then we obviously have WeWork who open their doors to us every month. WeWork team, please say hi, raise your hand. If you guys have questions about the space or working in that, please be sure to chat to the WeWork team on the floor. And then about today, we are here to talk about our February theme, which is layers. It was chosen by our Lucerne chapter in Switzerland, and it's illustrated by Catherine Olivia Pearson. Every month we have a different theme, so no one talk is the same as the other. Just expect that when you come to our events. And really when you start thinking about layers, you think about the rich complexity and depth that they are, right, and that they have. And for us to really get to our deeper truths, we need to start peeling away at layers, really, and just discovering ourselves at that deeper level. Today, we're having our speaker, Uasanda, greatly known as Msaki. She's a South African composer, singer, and songwriter. And although she's known as a musician, I actually do want to bring this up because I think it's amazing. Although she's known as a musician, Msaki trained in fine art, graphic design, film photography and curation at Rhodes University, Leeds University, Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, and East London Technikon. She's a South African Music Award-winning musician, and she's contributed, yes, thank you, and she's contributed to Black Coffee's Grammy Award-winning album as a writer, composer, and artist. Her practice has now evolved, and I really want her to dive into that with you guys and tell you all about what she's about, what she believes in, and how she's going to tackle the theme games with us today. So over to Msaki.
There's an hourglass in there. Inside. Good morning, everyone. Can you all see me? No. I'm sitting because if I stand, I'm gonna pass out from everything that I'm feeling, and it's like slightly overwhelmed, but it's also just that prickly excitement of knowing that there's magic in the room. I want to. Well, can I carry on like this, or are you going to be doing this the whole time? Is it okay? I'll stand up in 5 minutes when I feel my blood rushing back to the rest of my body and leaving my stomach. So let me first send something around the room so that you can have compassion for your different creative evolutions. Actually, wait, before I send it around, let me show you so you can have a proper look. So this is 2008 Msaki. I'm in my dad's orange helmet. If you guys ever watched Uwe Lapi, Shukushukuma Adam Print Company, we thought it was saying Adam Print's Company. It's an orange helmet, but it's a black and white film print that I was testing in the darkroom. And that's Nelly the Telly. She was head of communications. I had a whole imaginary team, a loudspeaker called Mike, the loudspeaker. I had a crew of creative friends, and you can pass this around now. Just so that you can have a little bit more compassion for your creative visions. That is me at some point completely convinced that I had this whole artistic firm in my mind that I used to create things with. And it took my time learning how to be a graphic designer, getting paid in pizza for overtime on the weekends. So I wanted to start there. I have a really simple presentation that is meant to feel like a collaboration between myself and my kids. And I want to start somewhere somewhat ethereal, but actually quite practical. So if the theme today is levels, there are a few things that I'm interested in. I guess the first thing is, where are we in creating from? And I think, we have this almost responsibility as creatives to think about what we're offering. And when we have allowed people to engage with the things that we think about in our spare time, and you're now sharing the byproduct of that, is there a sense of responsibility that we have as creatives, thinking intentionally about where we are creating from? So the first thing I want to do is kind of locate where this place is and what it looks like for all of us in different mediums, whether you're writing music, whether you're coming up with a visual artwork, whether you're coming up with a campaign, whether you're thinking of creative for copy. Where is your first place? And is there an awareness? If you are creating from the bottom of the ocean and you are completely down and out and you cannot see the shore, there's a niche. Well, there isn't a niche, but I think there's quite a commercial, I'd say that's a widely accepted and celebrated kind of way of making art. I mean, if you think of all the depressed artists that we connect with, and the fact that there's some kind of merit and integrity and authenticity from creating from exactly where you are. But my question to creatives and to myself is always, are you aware that you're at the bottom of the ocean? And what does that say about your creative integrity? So I would like to make a submission that artists like Kid Cudi or Kurt Cobain or Vincent van Gogh were probably creating from the bottom of the ocean, cutting off their ears, talking about pain and suffering quite candidly. And the reason why people connect is because there's something authentic about that place. They're creating from the place where they are. And I think it's something I want to throw to the audience is that once your awareness hits and you know where you've located where you're creating from, do you then share again when you've floated out to the surface and you've come up for air? What does that look like? For some people, they lose their audience. They're like, I'm so happy Adele will lose her audience because she's not heartbroken. What is that about? You know, have you made it your USP to create from the bottom of the ocean? Do you have the agency to shift within yourself? Are you aware? And when you are aware, can you change your position? And when you change your position, do you like what you make? And besides liking what you make, do people connect with it? Because do they resonate with the truth and an authenticity from the new position? If you've chosen it, if you're aware of it, it's amazing. If you're unaware of it, you might even be making the most interesting art. So it's a conversation that I'm more interested in. You know, do you guys think about that? I'm sure a lot of you do. I would love to hear some thoughts. And do you have a responsibility as a person who is sharing from your inner world to only share when you have the answers, to only share when you see the light? Is that the burden of the creative? Or is that something that you maybe in your personal creative journey are challenging yourself to do? Do you share only when you have revelations? Do you share when you're broken? So the question of position for me is something that I think all of us are engaging with consciously, unconsciously, when we share and we invite people to come and see what we're beholding in our inner world. So I just want to start there, you know, on that question of spirit level. Where are you creating from? And what is your intention? And when you have an awareness, how do you use that in your process? Anybody have any thoughts? Are we gonna share the mic?
Hi everyone, my name is Tabo, I'm from Bibliotech, and I'm part of the marketing team. Firstly, Msaki, I'd like to point out just like the perspective that you have as a creative is super insightful. I feel like for me personally, being a creative myself, being a visual creative, being a music producer as well, it sort of puts me in a position where it's like I create from being present. Ultimately, you know, I feel like I'm just naturally drawn to creativity, so much so where it's like that's my form of breathing, you know, so it's not a matter of sort of filtering what I feel is relevant to meet what people think creativity is, but rather my way of being myself and ultimately being a manifestation of life and expression. You know, so for me as a creative, I ultimately live to express and just be myself ultimately. And if people resonate with that, ooh, that's great. You know, we're synchronized on some level of truth. And if not, that's fine. If anything, it offers people more perspective, ultimately, just to be able to view humanity from a different type of perspective, and ultimately just view your own personal journey outside of our own biases and stereotypes. So yeah, practically for me, my message to creators is keep creating. Apart from just creating for people, create for you. Create the art that you feel deserves to continue to live on. You know, live your truth, irrespective of how messy that truth is as an artist. To be an artist is to be messy, but it's also to be bravely and confidently courageous in your expression. So yeah, that's my perspective.
I think that deserves a round of applause. I have goosebumps because I can feel your bravery, and I mean, that means, you know, the work has got vitality, you know. Does anybody else want to share their perspective, their position, their approach? Shall I carry on? So I mean, this time for me is just a way for me to kind of think about how we pool creative ideas. So I'm more than talking at you. There's a part of me that wants to say, can we have a little stock fill box about what we're thinking about? And you know, it's like a bit of a mixture of, you know, lessons that I've got from my creative journey, examples of my process, and maybe one or two offerings of past invitations from mentors or anything that I've come across. And hopefully, you know, when we get that kind of wisdom from you, it's also new ideas from you, and we all walk away with a little bit of a mix masala, of a new way of thinking about our creativity. So, yeah, this is my favorite thing in the entire world. I think that silence is the gateway drug to creativity, and I honestly have never had an experience where if I find time to quiet myself, whether it's physically, whether it's removing myself from the noise of the city, the awareness that I'm also just like a really hyperactive person who's easily stimulated. You know, that geography affects the way that I create, the way that I hear, the way that I listen. I really connect with having an ability to listen as the first way that I create. And so if there's no silence, I'm missing the song that's hovering over me. And I actually believe that there's one hovering over me every single day, at every second of the day. The ability to hear it is whether I can drop in, and if I can shut up for long enough, I can probably hear a song. And it's interesting because it takes me to a conversation that creatives have all the time. This idea of writer's block doesn't come from a place, personally for me, that is about being barren and not having a rich inner world from which to draw from. It's usually about the inability to listen. And that usually has nothing to do with being a good artist. It's got a lot to do with what's happening in the rest of your life. Are you feeling connected to your community? Are you guilty about something? Are you a good sister? Are you aware, you know, about how tired you are? It's never got anything to do with excellence or talent, and it's got everything to do with the posture of the heart and the ability to drop in. And so when someone says to me, oh my goodness, I'm not writing, it's the first thing I'm like, I will recommend silence. And it doesn't happen overnight. For some people, depending on the level of fatigue, noise that's in your mind, the noise that is in your external environment, you might have to physically remove yourself. And when you get there, quiet yourself inside. And I think we have such different ways of thinking about this. And I ultimately land at a place where I think that creativity is completely linked with a sense of self-compassion. And so practicing rituals of self-compassion is almost imperative if you are trying to listen to yourself in a true way and hear what's actually going on inside and catch the song that's above you, the recipe or the book and so I think it's a real tragedy when the reason why books are not being written and plays are not being created and produced and shared is because there's an increasing level of noise in all of our lives, and some of it is also just like, you know, we're so cued in that we've really zoned out with the device culture, with the hyper connection, which actually means that we are less connected than ever. So there's a part of me that, you know, wonders how many people are missing the song that is being sung over them. And then the question of where the song is coming from is, you know, we all have different spiritual worldviews. I do believe, I have this beautiful picture in my mind that when I catch a song, I've kind of kept quiet, something has happened where I've been able to drop in inward. I feel like my inner world is the size of the ocean in the universe, and that's the picture of this universal library that we all have a membership to. I believe that to the extent that I think that sometimes people catch the same idea and they catch the same song. It's about who listened to it, it's about the obedience to collaborate with it once it's arrived. Some people will catch it and hear it, but they're not going to sit at their table and write the book or write the song. And so I've even seen, there's two friends of mine, they're very big South African pop stars, and they accused each other of stealing. One was like, that's my song, I heard that song in my dreams. And I was like, no, well, I heard it and I wrote it. And it's interesting because they really, really did have like a similar sound at some point in time. And my theory is that, you know, the universe was at that time singing, expressing in that way. And somebody put up their aerial, kept quiet, took it and did something with it. So sometimes the collaboration with the song catcher is the act of being disciplined and sitting at the table, whether you feel inspired or not. And so there's that, you know, that magical thing that we all know is possible as creatives, and then there's the balance of, do you honor it with the practice? Do you honor it with discipline? Do you honor it with rituals that make sure that you are collaborating with yourself and with the universe in a way that is fitting to the work that is coming to you? Gonna open the floor again. In fact, is there a person who wants to say something? Can I come to you? Anybody? I can give you my mic. Okay, so before you answer anything, you're gonna have to tell us in 30 seconds how your life connects with creativity. Here we go.
I believe that the whole process of living is creative. And throughout my whole life, I've had broad ideas of where I wanted to be, but the direction which I had initially planned has always kind of transversed and meandered in its own way. And I think that's how I've allowed myself to be seeped into the kinetic energy of creativity. So my whole life is creative. I think my question is linked to both these things. I think when you mentioned first about artists like Van Gogh and the point in which they come in, and you said that they're kind of creating from the bottom of the ocean coming up. Oftentimes with those artists who are depressed, they often say that they have a lot of noise inside their head.
Say us artists.
Us artists, yes. That's true.
We're not othering any artist.
Yeah. We have a lot of noises in our head, and we kind of create in order to find the silence. Right? So I'm interested in what your thoughts are from those two different aspects, from creating from a point of silence and creating to find silence. And the responsibility as well, I think, because I believe that art carries a spirit, and however we write and we produce, that spirit is carried on by the person who receives it. So how do we navigate that responsibility, ethics around that?
I love that. Yeah, I love that question and just that whole portal is opening there, because I think part of the collaboration, right, it's not to say that like there's a generic song, there's a generic idea hovering over all of us, and if anybody catches it, it's going to come out the same way. It's literally going to come out because you have a different instrument. Your face is different, your skull is different, your voice will come out, your body differently, your life experiences, your wounds, your whole perspective is completely different to mine. So even if we catch the same song, it will not come out the same, and it's got everything to do with your makeup. Whether it's genetic, whether it's your position in the family, whether it's your awareness about your shadow, whether it is your intention to whatever it is that you're trying to, now you're collaborating with the soul of the song. And I think for me, every piece of work or idea that precedes us has its own soul. And for you, you are here to collaborate with making sure that that soul meets you in a way that's true. It's something I'm submitting. Sometimes you can betray it and it's still interesting art, but there is something that precedes us, I think, that we get to collaborate with, and it ultimately comes out uniquely and beautifully because you have merged with it, right? So I wanted to just say something about the idea of space, which is why, like, I don't like I don't like it when people are organized spatially in a way where they can't perceive themselves. I went to a ShopRite in Newville, and there's no space in the aisles. You can't even step back and think, what am I cooking for supper? You're going to run into someone, you're going to run into the next. There's no space to even see this kind of pasta, that kind of pasta. There's no space to be creative, because space allows you to. And then you go to a spa, same thing, same shop, but it's in Hyde Park, and the aisles are this big. And you're able to wander around, you're bumping into no one, there's clarity, you've got time to be creative about what dinner you want to make. You see 7 different kinds of peppers. And this is also why I think that a people will create a similar way according to history and geography. I know that black people are notorious for escaping to the inner world and finding something ethereal, because spatially, you're in a space where you don't have your own room. You don't have, and that's why I think some of that music that came from, the four-part harmony struggle song, it's so powerful, because you have to disappear to make sense of the space that is not there. You have to be creative to survive. You have to use your imagination to escape the spatial oppression. So there's also that space will affect us in different ways, whether we're aware of it or not. My idea of geography, I'm from East London, nothing is ever in a hurry. We're always at the beach on the weekend, and there's 15 minutes of traffic twice a day on Oxford Street, and that's it. There's no more traffic. And so I lived most of my life, up to my 20s in a place like that, where we're just chilled, surfing, skating, braaiing, listening to a lot of house music on the weekend, family, churching, no rat race. And at the shift that I felt when I came to Johannesburg, there was a sense of urgency, competition. I didn't want to repeat my lost idea. There was a closing energy where, I could, and when I realized it, I didn't set myself up to lose. If I was in East London, I make sure that my project is in open mode and there is no urgency. And I can dawdle and think about the ideas and make them sit in their place and think about them again. But if I'm in Johannesburg, I'm closing that project. I'm harnessing the energy of the space that is a little bit like this to use the momentum to get the thing done. And I shift into a different mode because I'm aware of how geography is affecting my creative journey. It's also just a thought, because I think we're doing these things whether we're aware of them or not, and other people have got different ways of engaging with their space and time. I'm gonna move. How much time do I have? Because I feel like I've been yapping on for a while. Really? Okay, great. Okay, so I want to offer something as a creative tool. One of my favorite producers, his name is Damien Taylor. He was Bjork's pianist for 9 years and her engineer. And he's mixing some songs that I did with a friend, and I'm going to play you one at the end. And while we were talking to him about the song in his studio, I was working with a friend of mine, Jesse Clegg. He said, "Hey man, this song is really beautiful, but what happens if you chunk up?" And I was like, "What does that mean?" And I had been using this idea, but I didn't articulate it the way that he did. So I'm borrowing from my favorite producer right now. He talked about how, for example, I painted the picture of what it looks like to be on the detailed ground floor. An example is if you're talking about, if I had to describe to you that I was in my dad's red Cressida and I went to Molowethu in Amalinda on Saxelby Road, where I saw Kezia, who lost her job. You don't know Kezia, you don't know what kind of shop Molowethu is, you don't know where Amalinda is, you have no idea. I'm telling you about, I'm almost leaving you out of my experience, and this is how a lot of my favorite writers actually will not try to let you in. They'll completely leave you out and indulge themselves in the details, and that is a beautiful way of sharing. And it's almost like, if you think about it conceptually, let's say I'm describing my dad's red Cressida, and I'm talking about how he used to take us to the shop, and that's the place that I'm telling the story from. Maybe I'm even telling you what kind of engine it is, maybe I'm telling you how fast it was. It's information and it's detail, but it can be done in a beautiful way. If we move up to the second, down to the second floor, maybe what I'm referencing is childhood memories, and it starts to have a little bit of a different vantage point, right? If you chunk up again to the second floor, maybe what I'm trying to talk about in the song or the artwork is family bonds. And there's language that goes with that. I can talk to you about how I love, my dad's sense of humor, or I can talk to you about how the first thing I heard in the morning was his laugh, because he used to watch the cartoons and read the strip in the newspaper, and it starts to have some other effect where I'm still talking about a personal experience, but you're getting a chance to be let in because the experiences are a little bit wider, and there's room for you to read between the lines. It starts to, then Damien says, chunk up a little bit more. Yes, maybe you're talking about remembering a car, maybe you're talking about your dad, maybe you're talking about family bonds, but if you chunk up a bit more, what are you trying to say? And what does it look like when you intentionally try to write from there, or work from there, or share from there? And then it could become a piece about belonging. And what language do you use then? What changes in the picture? If you're thinking about belonging, your vantage point is different. And also playing with that, possibly even engaging all of those layers, or sticking to one for one part of a creative expression, and then scene 2, you're here, and then scene 3. So it's like you have all these tools, and the last one maybe you're about belonging, and you're making a philosophical, a submission that nobody belongs. All of us are an accident, or all of us belong, and we're all connected. Like, now you're getting to a point where you are not just an artist, you're a philosopher. And I think there are a lot of people that have almost stuck to that as a way of offering, and we go to them for teaching, we go to them for healing, we go to them for, perceiving ourselves differently because you're borrowing their vantage point. And that can happen through art. Art is giving us a way to see ourselves and different vantage points all the time for situations that we all could face in ways that could mean that we're engaging it here, 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 or here. So that's just something I wanted to share from a mentor of mine. And I think that there's no better, I'm not saying that one level is better than the other. I'm saying that they're all tools, and I'm also saying that with awareness, they can be used in very powerful ways. I think I want to read you something, actually. I wrote a poem the other day. I've been spending some time, I was in Zanzibar, and I spent some time with musicians, and some of them are from conflict spaces. And I met an artist, his name is Mohammed, and he's from Sudan. And he's been displaced, lives in Nairobi, and we're all, in fact, this whole group that I was a creative director of this stage called 20 Encounters at Saudis of Zara, but the artists that really, really affected me were the artists that have been working and trying to make life happen, even though their families are all over the place and they've had to find new homes and they have to find ways to be mobile. And so I wrote this after spending time with the Sudanese. If I can just find it. Oh, here it is. And I think maybe I'm still working on it, but there's an engaging on some of the levels. Possibly, maybe a few. So I'd love to hear your feedback after it. Okay, so the first poem is called "Oh God, You Are Shrapnel." Today I heard a mosaic. When you opened your mouth and sang with your eyes closed, your voice filled the room like incense. I wondered about clouds and weightlessness. There was a lifting under my feet, right there in the arches, inside my shoes. I was expecting grenades of anger. Oh God, you are shrapnel. I gathered the straps. I put you together like mosaics of amens. From different lands and dialects, we failed to hear the full glory of the eternal song. We put our piece of shrapnel in dusty museums, behind glass boxes. They say do not touch. We sing the Lord's Prayer in different chants, thinking it's the only one, and we miss the beauty of Allah in all of us. Salam, I want to see your face. Salam, I long to see your face. This is part 2. I've made it home, Habibi. The days pour down my face as tears as my heart remembers the interludes, like peace-drenched adans on a humid day. I bring you water, my sister. You smile with your eyes. Shukran means thank you. I feel the hem of your jalabiya, my brother, brushing by. It means you are close as we take the long way around and you tell me about home. Your laugh feels like an old friend. Salam, you touch my shoulder. Shukran for walking with me again. Salam, I shake your hand. You arrived late today. I immediately know that you don't like this and that you could not help it. I wonder what problems you are solving. I fight myself and don't offer my help. You are capable and your dignity would not allow me to peer into your box of stories neatly packed, ready to flee if you must. Yet, no struggle will ever define you. Not now, not ever. Your song about bullets sounded like a love song to peace. Salam, I touch your shoulder. Your smile has yellowed the inside of my eyelids. Salam, you touch my heart. Your stride is burdenless. There is no war in your eyes, only dreams. You did not allow me to pay for my tamarind juice with ginger, and you asked me if I would eat it today. Salam poems for my friends. Before we move to the next slide, just wanted to give an opportunity to anyone who wanted to connect. I would also just want to go back to something you said about us having these different perspectives of life, and I have this beautiful picture of us all holding this piece of mosaic, where we have perspective, whether it's a view of God or a view of love or a view of family, and it's almost like when artists dare to make and create, you offer a piece of the mosaic, and when we're all making, like the mosaic starts to announce itself that like there's a beautiful picture that we can't even imagine, you know, and if we're all connected and we're sharing that piece of shrapnel or mosaic, there's something that we're offering that becomes this beautiful tapestry. So I think about that interconnectedness when we create, and something about what you said really moved me when you were insisting on the bravery and the truth of your perspective, you know. Does anybody want to share something? You can just do the 30 seconds or maybe reflect on anything that's come up. You are so quiet. I should just give this to somebody. I should give it to somebody with the biggest smile. May I? How do you connect your creativity and who you are so that we can know you?
Hi, through creativity, I stepped away from my ceramics practice and recently had a family member pass away and got the opportunity and made the offering. Like, I don't want him to just have, you know, what they give you in a funeral package. So I'm going back into ceramics and making his urn. And but like movement has also been a creative practice of mine. I'm not a dancer, I'm a martial artist. So being able to tap back into everything that I've learned, that my teachers have learned and have passed on to me, the places I've been, the people I get to encounter through that movement have been really healing. So right now, I'm using art as a healing tool, a chance to reconnect with the parts of myself that feel like they've, I don't know, died in some way. And the people that I love.
So thank you for sharing. What is your name? Brianna. Okay, thank you, Brianna. Yeah, I mean, there's also something about, you know, grief, and I think, you know, a lot of artists interface grief in a way that is to move through and to purge things, and I think that's why the place that you're making from shouldn't be judged ever. It should be welcomed with a lot of compassion. And so when you talked about moving through, making as a way of moving through stuff, you know, I feel like, I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't have music and art to sort through the joy and the mess of life. I don't know if I'd be here, to be honest, because having that as a way to process those emotions that are big and sometimes really complicated, giving them as raw as they are. Sometimes the work is acidic. I have protest songs where I'm like, oh my goodness, I was so mad. And somehow, working through the art, it took me to the other side, which, I interfaced with a love song, and the love song took me to a song of healing that I sang over myself and composed to fetch broken fragments of my younger self. And so, if we didn't have this to move through these different seasons of our life, and I don't know, I wouldn't be here, but I also think that the awareness that it's okay to be where you are and to move through where you are using the tools that you've been given. I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time on this slide. This is just a thought about the first answer, and I think there's merits in the first answer. So the first sitting, the first idea. I always encourage people when they're brainstorming or they're in group writing sessions, or we have this horrible thing in music where we have to do these camps sometimes, and you're in a room with a lot of people from different places, and it's like the loudest people in the room get the song done. And sometimes when I see a quiet person, I'm like, hey, what was your first idea? Let me hear that idea, I have a soft spot for introverts, and I'm a bit of an introvert whisperer, and I see when people are being trampled in a collaborative space. And I always encourage those people that are not the loudest in the room to trust their first idea, so that there's momentum, so that you don't have a chance to second guess yourself in public when you are trying to just share something, So when I think about the first idea, there's a positive way of going with the first idea, but I also think there's a danger in going with the collective thought on a subject, which is why there are so many love songs from the Afro-pop nation that say, "Someday last time." We're all singing about love, using the same language, and this is when things become a pastiche and you start to feel a sense of inauthenticity, right? So I do think that the first answer also needs to be questioned. Sit with your idea, process it, send it around, let it sit, drop in again, try, pull it apart, use it backwards, change your creative process. If you started with the bass line, start with the verse. If you usually start with a black canvas, start with a white one. If you usually, are making plans using AutoCAD, start with your hand. I don't know, but just flip it. Flip the script for yourself so that your process doesn't give us a pastiche and something that feels like a reflex that is not true to what you could be saying in the moment. So I don't really want to dwell on that very, very much, but I also think that when you find yourself in a place where you think, oh, my reflexes are just boring, and they just reflect on whatever's happening, I always say, if you are a musician, go and watch a play. If you love sculpture, go spend some time in architecture. If you are a writer, go and listen to a musical. Go and fill your world somewhere else, but also find ways to fill your creative and deepen your creative world. And so that you've got raw materials where you do find that time for silence, you're dropping in, and there's a richness because you've been taking in. So this is why people also will write a beautiful first album, because they've had all of their lives to think about everything that's ever affected them. And then the second one, the record label wants you to give it to them in a year, when you've lived in hotel rooms and eaten terrible food and spent time with the same people. You've had no time to live life, and you're expected to come up with a banger of a so-called. So it's the so-called curse. It literally is a real thing. When have you lived? So, anyway, I can move on. Thank you so much to the person controlling the slides. You're doing so well. These are my doodles from my sketchbook, and some of them are in my poetry book that I have at the back. I think I repeated that. So what I was trying to, it's fine, we can move on to the next one. I wanted to just share some stuff. I love making installation work, and I love also just kind of weaving stories in between different projects. And if anyone's listening, they will find clues from the first album and motifs all the way through to the last album, any visual exhibition, everything is talking to each other. And I think another thing I wanted to just put out in the room is you know, the fearlessness to explore different things. I mean, I get questioned all the time, like, oh, you make art, who did you study with? What is the white cube space that has given you the seal of being an artist? And I'm like, none of the above. I don't really care. But that's the thing, is that people are trying to shrink us all the time and put us into bite-sized chunks so that they can take us in. And I think in this room, there are probably so many multifaceted people. We are all called to think in different ways all the time. And I just want to encourage anybody who is thinking in a multidisciplinary way to lean into that, because one thing could lean into the other. I really believe in going where the momentum is. So for me, I'm feeling stuck because I'm not writing creatively enough. Then I'm like, okay, let me see what mechanical thing I can do and activate the left side of my brain. Maybe it's time to practice some scales. Maybe I need more paint in my toolbox. Maybe I don't have enough chords to write something interesting. Maybe the reason why my songs are boring is because I've been listening to the same stuff and I haven't given myself a chance to grow. I haven't collaborated with my song catcher by giving myself tools as a songwriter. What does that mean? It might mean boring stuff like studying structure, you know? So I'm in this space where I'm really enjoying the creative process and I'm looking for where the momentum is. If this is not happening, I want to draw. If that is not happening, I can't dance, but I will watch someone dance. But it's just the idea that you are not going to get stuck if you go to where the enabling is or your interest is. It's very, very difficult to have creative block if you are being honest with what's going on, and if you have the chance to perceive yourself and to examine what's actually going on here. I don't know if you guys maybe want to, if anybody's got something to weigh in on that, because I think it's such a big topic in creatives that I think it's actually, it should be minimized, because I think we have the tools, even just in collaborating, talking to each other, figuring things out together. There's so many ways to keep moving. I could share like 100 more. I love, meeting people that think that they're creative blocks, and it's after one conversation and you realize that, this person is actually fine, and all they need is either like a change of scenery, a change of practice, a different way of seeing what they're doing, a way to access what they're feeling. Maybe they just need rest. Maybe they're trying to do the wrong thing in the wrong season. Maybe you're supposed to be hibernating, and you're supposed to be resting, and you're supposed to be just stewing in the ideas that are brewing inside of you. But here you are trying to drop a whole solo show. It's not the right season for that. And sometimes those reasons are external, and sometimes they're internal, and sometimes it's a combination of both. And the thing about it is the awareness. So I just wanted to first encourage you guys to be very gentle with yourselves in whatever season or posture of heart or season of creativity you're in. Move with what is beckoning you. Go to where the energy is. Find ways to keep moving. Ask for help. Find community. Find people that are like-minded. Find people that will speak life into you, encourage you. I love the idea of collaboration also as a way to be met where you are weaker. So it's such a beautiful thing also to say, I'm struggling with this. I don't know how I'm going to do that bass line. I need somebody who's going to think about it in a fresh way. Collaboration is a way for the soul of a song to come out in a fuller way. Sometimes the project is not getting done because you're not supposed to do it alone, And it's not going to be the best thing that it can be because you're missing the angles where you could ask people to meet you in spirit and make something beautiful and think about and feel what you would say together. And the atmosphere will shift because all of a sudden, that is a piece of work that is done in truth. So obviously when I share these ideas, you're getting a sense of also some of my worldview. I don't know what it is, but I think we're all connected. I think we all have access to this beautiful universal library. I think that we've got ways to replenish ourselves and each other. And I think that this cannot happen without a lot of compassion for yourself and others in the creative process. So thank you so much. I promised you I'd play your song. Yes. Can I do that? And then you can come and, so you can go and start your day. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me see if I can find the song. And I'm connected to something called a party box. I'm very afraid of what that sounds like. It says it's connected. Yeah, so I'm connected and it's playing, but I'm not sure why it's not playing. I have no idea where it's playing from now. There you go. So here's the song in the folder. And
Just play with your phone.
off my phone.
Yeah, it's on it. You have it on your phone?
Yeah, but is it not connected to Polybox?
It is.
So
Just go
then,
into your music.
there it is. It's just an MP3 there. So is the Polybox on?
Yes, sir.
It was playing on my computer, not the Polybox. So we checked everything.
Just move. Oh, change it to 40 bucks.
Okay. Let's play. Hmm? Okay, I think we got it. It's playing now.
Yeah.
So this song is called Cruel World for Meaning Junkies. Is that the loudest it can go? If you need to sneak out, please feel free. This is just before the altar call.
You take your ass down
That was terrifying. It's just my last offering. It's just empathy is probably like one of my biggest creative tools. I'd love to have a chat to anybody who believes that or is interested in that idea sometime. Maybe another talk somewhere else. But yeah, it's a whole other conversation like this in the morning. That is a collaboration with a very good friend of mine. His name is Jesse Cake, and I was quoting his dad, who wrote him the song that is a cool, crazy, beautiful world when he was a small boy. And then his mom was saying, and like this is a dedication to all creatives, that oh, you're doomed to a life of pain because you guys are meaning junkies. You want to suck the marrow for life. You're gonna be, might as well go up, basically. She was saying we're gonna feel it because as artists we get the center, like we're at the epicenter of the earthquake, and we get those tremors first. And when we express, we kind of allow other people to feel and give them permission to cry and say and express. So yeah, please don't forget that that's where you're located. And so yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
I really feel like that was an offering more than just a talk. It just really connected with me, and I hope that it connected with everyone in this room. I think the energy just changed as we got into it. Thank you for your spirit, your energy, more than anything. Thank you for sharing yourself with us. And I guess helping us kind of unveil different layers in our own creative journeys. I think that was incredibly beautiful. And thank you for the invitation to engage you further. I'm going to close it off there. I think we've run the time. This is just a token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, thank you everyone for coming through today. I think your energy in the room also just amplified the frequency for this morning. We'll see you again on the 14th of March. That is our March event. So stay tuned.
Oh.